Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha. Shilakankanakalaye. Shilakankanakalaye. Ito Narsinga Parato Narsinga. Ito Narsinga Parato Narsinga. Yato yato yami tato Narsinga. Yato yato yami tato Narsinga. Vahi Narsinga Ridaye Narsinga. Vahi Narsinga Ridaye Narsinga. Narasimhamadim Sharanam Prapate. Narasimhamadim Sharanam Prapate. Narasimhamadim Sharanam Prapate. Narasimhamadim Sharanam Prapate. Savakara Kamala Vare Nata Adbhuta Shringa Dalita Hiranyakashipu Anubhinga Keshavadvita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Navakara Kamala Vare Adbhuta Shringa Dalita Hiranyakashipu Anubhinga Keshavadvita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Savakara Kamala Vare Nakhamadbhuta Shringa Dalita Hiranyakashipu Anubhinga Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Avakara Kamala Vare Nakhamadbhuta Shringa Dalita Hiranyakashipu Anubhinga Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Narsinga-dev 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 Jaya Narsinga-dev Jaya Narsinga-dev 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 Jaya Narsinga-dev Jaya Pṛthā 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 Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada,
Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Welcome, dear devotees, to our Tuesday evening Bhagavad-gita class. We didn't have a class on Monday. I apologize for that, for the short notice and bailing myself out at a short notice, but something had come up at work and I was required to stay back and sweat it out. That's what mature life is. So how are you all feeling? If you're feeling good, then give me a thumbs up on your reaction bar. All right. Sadhana Mataji gave me a visual thumbs up. And let's see who else is there. Okay. Namadya Mataji is giving me a thumbs up. I want you to touch your keypads and give me the thumbs up there. Bend a little bit. Bend your body a little bit. And okay, Vindhyavali Mataji, you are allowed to raise your thumb because you will never be able to figure out between your two phones which one to press. Okay, so who else is there not feeling, who else is feeling good enough and listening to me? So Komal Radhe Mataji, if you're feeling good, then why don't you give me a thumbs up?
I wrote it on the chat. I did a thumbs up first and then wrote it on chat.
Oh, don't put your thumb down so quick. All right, Varshana Mataji is listening. This is just a test to see whether you're listening to me or not, right? So there was a
feeling good listening to you, or just feeling good in general.
Yeah, I asked that question so that I could know whether you're listening to me or not. So that was the deal, right? So why do you think teachers ask questions? That's the reason they ask these questions, right? Okay. So I was just, in one of the lectures I heard about, they were talking about Nidra and Tandra, the two states of, of the mind. And so Nidra is, do you know, anybody know the difference between Nidra and Tandra? Are you trying to say something?
Nidra is deep sleep.
Okay, Nidra is deep sleep. And what is Tandra?
What is that, Mataji? Sandra? I couldn't get it.
Switch off the other phone. Switch off your other phone.
I better mute myself.
Good.
Yeah, this is good. This is good. No, not good. Okay, hold on. Say something, Mataji. Without touching anything, say something.
What is that, Sandra? Sandra, Mataji?
Yeah, this is good. Now don't mute and unmute yourself, right? I will control your thing from here, okay? So that you're on the right one. Yeah, I was asking the difference between Nidra and Tandra.
Sandra.
So Nidra is when you sleep. Yeah, Nidra is when you go to sleep. And Tandra is actually, you are half awake and half asleep.
Oh.
So yeah. For example, in the middle of a lecture, you go into Tandra. Right? So that is where teachers ask you questions.
Not in all lectures. Not in all lectures.
I had a student in my class, I have to tell you, but it was not Krishna Katha. I was teaching at my previous company. And so there was a student, very bright student, who was sitting in the front row since the morning. And those used to be big classes, like 8-hour long classes like that. because we were teaching them the product. So, and so he was sitting in the front bench, and the classrooms were very packed. And so there used to be no space between your desk and the student's desk. So they were that close to the teacher. And so very nice and bright student, talking, asking questions, participating, answering questions, all that, right? Till we hit the lunch break. Then he comes back from the lunch break, and so I'm talking, telling them this. And then I ask a question, and so obviously there is silence. And in that silence, as they are thinking on, how to respond to the question, in the middle of that silence, I hear right from the front bench, it was like,
Snoring.
And then he just could not control because too much of food, right? Right in the front bench, he was going like this. And then everybody started laughing. Everybody heard it because I had stopped talking. He must have been snoring, but because I was talking, so people were not able to hear him. So Tantra is, when you are half asleep and half awake. And kids do that all the time, don't they? Right? They're eating their breakfast, sleeping, they wake up, they eat, and then they go to sleep, right? Or even infants, they're drinking from their mom and they fall asleep, and they'll get up and drink some more and then fall asleep. So Tantra is something, it happens. And of course, the moment you sit down to chant, Tantra hits you badly. Right? Or open the Shastra. When you're hale and hearty, laughing, talking, fully awake, fully in your senses, and you decide, I'm going to pick up the Bhagavad-gita, I'm going to read it. It starts, right? So it is very natural for us to happen, right? We can even go to sleep when we are walking, we decide to chant. So that is the thing, that we take these activities as, not all of them, but at least chanting, sitting in a lecture, listening to the teacher. I'm not talking about you, but in general, about studying for the exam, and 10 o'clock in the night, and you're like, oh, I can't read my physics, I can't read my math. I'm like, and then you switch on the TV, and then you can sit there for 2 hours with no problems at all, right? So it's a well-known fact that this happens. And so the reason is that that's the difference between work and play. And we don't like to work.
I sleep in front of TV too.
Yeah, you are. That's why I said none of you.
I do. In front of TV, I sleep.
So to recollect my thought. So, and the reason for that is that we don't like to work. And the reason, and of course, we don't like duties in general. We can do anything out of love. But in general, we don't like doing our duties. We don't like to work. That's a problem. That's a big problem that we have, right? Because when we are doing devotional service, and when we have been asked by the spiritual master to follow the 4 regulative principles. I remember there was on the television watching Radhanath Swami disciple. He was from Mumbai, and he was talking about his life story of how he comes into Krishna consciousness. And all the stories are so nice, right? Not a single story is without the thrill and the punch and everything, right? And so he was telling about how he got into Krishna consciousness, obviously prasadam by the other devotees. And so as he was narrating how difficult it used to be in the beginning, wife protesting, then wife carrying, agreeing, and then, working with him on that. And then one of the things that he said was, it was very difficult for him to stop eating meat. Very, very difficult. And then, of course, he, by the mercy of his spiritual master, would-be spiritual master. But that's what happened. The devotees, they gave him prasadam and all that. And then one fine day took him straight to Radhanath Swami Maharaj. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Koya, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Paya. Just a little meeting with the Maharaj brought so much a change in his life, but he was still struggling with the anarthas and could not give it up. But finally, because Master is saying, so he did it. And then as he progresses, starts chanting, tilak. And I've never seen, he gave a demonstration of how he puts on tilak, beautiful tilak. I've never seen anybody put on such beautiful, perfect, tilaks that he does. And not only that, actually Krishna took care of his opulence also. He was a tailor who used to mend clothes. So he was not the regular quote unquote tailor who can charge any amount of money for you. He used to mend clothes. And how much do we give for mending clothes? Hardly anything, right? 1 rupee, 2 rupee. From that, he opened 3 shops, ultimately. But anyway, so Krishna gives opulence to his devotees also. It's not that all his devotees are going to be paupers. But anyway, so Krishna, so then as he was narrating his life story, so he talks about the struggle of his, with eating meat. But then as he progressed, he said, as he was progressing devotion, so he said, I don't even know when and where the onions and the garlic went. He has no idea. So at some point in time, you think that these things are chore and that they will put me into tandra or big rebellion. You're asking me to give up meat. What's going to happen to my protein? Like that. So so at some point in time, there was a change, there was change in the direction. Right now, eating meat heading down, right? And then you start going up because the Maharaj appeared in your life. And so he starts to move up. And in that upward progress, you don't even know when these things will go up because now you have awakened, right? Chakshur unlitam yena. That's what they say, right? Om ajnana timirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurun militam tasmai shri gurave namaha. Okay, so let us begin our topic for today, which is from the Bhagavad-gita. And what chapter are we reading, ladies?
3.
Chapter
3, third.
Third, all right. And what's the verse
20.
number?
22.
22?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So let me just start my screen sharing here. And let's see. And can you see? Narsingham Dev. Okay, Sadhana Mataji can see it. This means everybody can see it. Unless you are in Tandra, then you won't be able to. That's a done thing. That's a done deal.
Mataji, just make it a little bigger, the front.
No, you didn't pay the fees. Is this good?
No, Mataji. Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Where is Narasimha?
Okay.
Narasimha
Narasimha
besides the screen.
You don't see
Behind the
Narasimha.
screen. Yeah, we don't see Narasimha.
You don't see
we
Narasimha?
we see.
You see? Or where do you see?
Behind.
Beside-
I cannot see behind the screen.
No. It's
Yes.
right next to the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, next to the verse.
Yeah, okay, Mataji, you're watching it on a cell phone, so you must have gone down.
No. I am watching in my iPad, Mataji. Yeah,
Okay.
got it. Got it. I
Okay,
bought
good.
it.
Very good. Okay, so I'm going to read from this here right now, and I'm going to mute all of you, and then but you have the powers to unmute yourself. So whenever there's a vacha vegam urge to speak, you can please indulge in that. Okay, all right. Name parthasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana nana vaptam avaptavyam varta eva cha karmani. Name parthasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana nana vaptam avaptavyam varta eva cha karmani. Name parthasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana Nanavaptam avaptavyam Varta eva cha karmani. Synonyms now. Na, not. Me, mine. Pṛthā, O son of Pṛthā. Asti, there is. Kartavyam, prescribed duty. Trishu, in the three. Lokeshu, planetary systems. Kinchana, any. Na, nothing. Anavaptam, wanted. Avaptavyam, to be gained. Varte, I am engaged. Eva, certainly. Cha, also. Karmani, in prescribed duty. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. O son of Pṛthā, there is no work prescribed for me within all the three planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I a need to obtain anything, and yet I am engaged in prescribed duties. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is described in Vedic literature as follows. Tam Ishwaranam Paramam Maheshwaram Tam Devantam Paramam Cha Devatam Patin Patinam Paramam Parastad Vidam Devam Bhuvanesham Idam Natasya Karyam Karanam Cha Vidyate Natat Samaschabhyadhikascha Drishyate Parasya Sakte Vividhe Vashuyate Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriyaja. The Supreme Lord is the controller of all other controllers. He is the greatest of all the diverse planetary leaders. Everyone is under his control. All entities are delegated with particular power only by the Supreme Lord. They are not supreme themselves. He is also worshipable by all demigods and is the supreme director of all directors. Therefore, he is transcendental to all kinds of material leaders and controllers and is worshipable by all. There is no one greater than him, and he is the supreme cause of all causes. He does not possess a bodily form like that of an ordinary living entity. There is no difference between his body and his soul. He is absolute. All his senses are transcendental. Any one of his senses can perform the action of any other sense. Therefore, no one is greater than him or equal to him. His potencies are multifarious, and thus his deeds are automatically performed as a natural sequence. Shwet Ashwata Upanishad 6.7 and 8. Since everything is in full opulence in the personality of Godhead and is existing in full truth, there is no duty for the Supreme Personality of Godhead to perform. One who must receive the results of work has some designated duty, but one who has nothing to achieve within the three planetary systems certainly has no duty. And yet Krishna is engaged on the battlefield of Kurukshetra as the leader of the Kshatriyas, because the Kshatriyas are duty bound to give protection to the distressed. Although he is above all the regulations of the revealed scriptures, he does not do anything that violates the revealed scriptures. Hari Om. That's it. Okay, so let's do our regular practice and tell me the Sanskrit for three, in the three. And are you going to chat? Trishu, says Sukumar Radhe Mataji, without batting an eyelid. Trishu. Okay, good. And then, what is prescribed duty? What has been prescribed for you?
Karmani.
Prescribed duty. Prescribed duty.
Kartavyam.
Kartavyam, right? Karmani is in the prescribed duty. Okay. All right. And then if you want to gain something, something is to be gained, what will you say in Sanskrit?
Avaptavyam.
Avaptavyam. Okay. Very good. So now, let's go and look at the translation. O son of Pṛthā, there is no work prescribed for me within all the 3 planetary systems. So very interesting thing, right? So we were talking about Nidra and Tandra, right? So when we don't want to work, who wants to work, right? All the time we are just thinking about, the weekend. If you are working, if you have to go to the office, then throughout the time you're thinking of the weekend every day. Monday to Friday, what do you think? I think about Saturday and Sunday. Okay, and then in the 9 o'clock when you reach the office, what are you thinking about lunchtime? During lunch, what are you thinking about, when the office is going to close? And nowadays, office never ends like that for anybody, no matter what. So we don't necessarily like to do work. And the reason for in all those things is that, there is no love which is involved over there, right? And as kids, kids will tell their parents, the parents will ask them to do the chores, and they might, 80% of the time not want to do it, right? Some kids are good, they will do all the chores, but some might not want to do. Okay, now you have to empty the trash can every day, and you have to be after them to do it, right? But when they grow up and they have their own homes, then they will empty the trash can themselves. What is it that, suddenly the emptying of the trash can has become such a delightful thing? Has the trash can started to smell good that you want to do that duty? It's not that, right? It's the attitude and the relationship, that you have that has changed. And so Krishna is saying that I have no prescribed work for me. And he's sitting in front of Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where, by the way, Arjuna has said, "Na yotsyami iti Govinda." He said, "I will not fight," and then fell silent. Mushlin, Bhuvaha, he fell silent, right? So when a Kshatriya is saying that I will not fight, which means that he's saying I will not do my duty. And then, of course, Krishna is giving him, chapters after chapter of discourse to bring him back to that path. And then here he is giving example, right? Earlier he had given the example of Janak, right? Kings such as Janak, right? They were doing their duty. And now he's talking about, okay, when you look at King Janak, he's a king. And the king has got some kingly duties. So he's performing his kingly duties. And so it's not a big deal if he does his duty. He's a good king if he's doing his duty, right? But now he's going to the other extreme and he's saying, look at me, right? I have no prescribed work for me. Work is prescribed for us. And there's a lot of work, that you have to do. And Prabhupada says in the purport that when you desire to have something material that you want to possess or you want to enjoy, with that comes some work that you have to do. And we know that the story of the proverbial carrot, that the managers will dangle in front of the mouth, right? Of the mouth, and the donkey will go after it, right? And so why do we do that? We all know it's the carrot, but we want that gain. We want that gain. Although the Shastras tell you that here's the thing, if you run after material things, of course, if it was your prarabdha karma to suffer, then you will suffer. But the wise people know that just as disasters come into your life on their own, happiness will also come into your life on its own, because you are born into this material world with a set destination. That destiny you cannot change. When people say that man is the maker of his own destiny, or you can make your own destiny, the destiny we are talking about is your spiritual destiny. By taking conscious decisions, you can change whether you want to go back to Godhead, that Golok is your destiny, or whether you want to go up and down in this material world and have no destiny, because the circle has no beginning and an end. So you'll keep on going, right? Brahmande Brahmite Korn Bhagyavanji Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Beej. So to the mercy of a spiritual master, you will get the beej of the Bhakti Lata, as we saw in the story of the tailor that we talked about, right? So we want to have something material. We want to have something material, and because of that, we'll be running after it, and we will suffer. How much? Papa bhaba ma, pavark javark tavar, right? So In the pavarg, there is the pa. There is pa for parishram. You have to do very hard work, right? And when you're doing some hard work, what's going to happen is that some foam is going to come out of your mouth. Fena, right? Then there is bhaya. I'm going to lose my job. I won't get my permission, right? So like that. And then in the end, there is ma, and ma is for mrityu. So we spend our whole life running after some carrot. And then, in the end, we die, and then we'll take a birth again in this material world, right? So, however, whenever you are in this material world, depending on your varna and your ashram, you have got certain duties, you've got certain obligations, as this verse says, Devarshi Bhuta, Tanirnam Prithinam, Naking Karonayam Rinicha Rajam, Sarvatmanaya Sharanam Sharanyam, Gato Mukundam Parivirta Kartum. Right? So he says that people who are born in this material world and who have not taken to devotional service, those who have not taken to devotional service have got certain duties and have got certain debts. And because of those debts, they are supposed to do certain things. For example, if you have a body of a human being, then you are indebted to your parents because they gave you this body. So you have to take care of your parents, right? Similarly, the demigods give you rain, sunshine, like that. So you are indebted to them also. You're also indebted to the other people in this material world. For example, the carpenters or the brick makers or the masonries or the road makers, because you're using, whatever they have created there. So people in this material world have got lots of responsibilities, lots of duties, and which we should complete our duties according to the Shastras, right? In the 16th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, we said, right, that from the Shastras, what is to be done and what is not to be done. So always refer to the Shastras over there. Right? But here, Krishna Bhagavan is saying that now he's giving him an example after telling him that, Janaka did it. So please refer to that. And now he's saying, look at me. There is no work prescribed for me within these 3 words, right? So there's no work for Krishna. And that's why Vaisheshika Prabhu sometimes jokingly says that, you look at Krishna, he's not wearing shoes, right? Because the moment you put on shoes, you have to go to office to put on the shoes, right? And those of you working from home these days, we know what we are doing, right? We can wear a trouser and a blouse, and you don't have to iron your trousers because nobody can see you. Nobody can see the lower part on Zoom. So you can also sit barefoot and do your work these days. But in general, when you have to go to office, you have to get dressed. But look at Krishna, because he's come here only to play. That is his job, to enjoy. He's a supreme enjoyer. And now when he's saying there is no work prescribed for me within all the 3 planetary systems, now there is something hidden that he's trying to emphasize over here. Remember, Krishna is speaking through the medium of the Bhagavad-gita. Krishna is speaking to us also, right? He's speaking to us and he's giving us instructions. And so he's saying, no work prescribed for me within all the 3 planetary systems. So within all the 3 planetary systems, which is the lower planetary systems, the middle planetary systems where we are, and the upper planetary system, all the way up to Brahma Loka, which is the topmost planetary system in any universe, right? Any universe you go, Brahma is the most powerful. And so what Krishna is saying is that I am actually self-sufficient. I'm Atma Rama. I'm sufficient in myself. I don't need anybody to come and do something to make me happy. I am Atma by myself. Self-sufficient, self-contained, don't have to reach out like that, right? So when we are not, self-contained, when we have to reach out to other things outside, then we have that concept of duty and working and doing yajna and this and that comes into play, right? But Krishna is saying that he doesn't, and because of that we have duty, but Krishna is saying here that I don't have any duties in the 3 planetary systems, which means that he can go to lower planetary systems or the upper planetary system. Now, by the way, we are in the middle planetary system where things are kind of like neutral. There is happiness and there is distress also. But in the upper planetary systems, there's all happiness. There's all happiness. There is death, of course, but old age is not there in Brahma planet and things like that. So some of these things that trouble us a lot kind of get reduced on the upper planetary systems. And there are a lot of material opulence. And what to talk about the lower planetary systems where the material opulence is even greater than what you have in the upper planetary system. So if upper planetary systems are like the Disney World, the Disneyland, pure fun, right? But down there in the Netherlands, down there in the lower planetary system, the Satal, Satatal, Rasatal, Mahatal, right? Like that, Patal, like that, all the way up to Patal, it is Las Vegas. That's the kind of enjoyment that you have there, okay? But Krishna is saying, and so of course, if you desire this, you'll go there. If you desire that, you have to go there. If you desire to enjoy the moon planet, you have to do something to get to the moon planet. So you have to do your duties. You have to do your yagyas, your vratas, whatever is required. You have to do it. You have to do. Maybe you don't like it, but still, you do it. And so when he's saying that there is nothing to be, I have no duties in any of the three worlds, which means that, anywhere you go in any of the three worlds, Krishna doesn't need anything. I don't have a need. He doesn't have a need to go to Gandhamandan Parvat and enjoy the cold breeze there. He doesn't have a need to go to Kailash Parvat and sit under the banyan tree. He doesn't have a desire to go to this planet because the mangoes are good and this and that. He doesn't have a need to enjoy anything in this material world, right? And so, and why is that? He doesn't need it because this is all material. Krishna is all spiritual. And then we might just think, like a person like us will be in awe. Usually we are in awe of the demigods because they are so powerful. They are very, very powerful. Much, much powerful than us, right? They're almost godlike in some of the principal demigods are almost godlike. So we are in awe and it's just like, whoa. And so we sometimes forget that Krishna is superior to even the demigods. And that is what Krishna is telling Arjuna over here through this sentence that, there is no work prescribed for me in any of the three planetary systems. He's actually saying that I am the Lord and the master of all the three planetary systems. If I want to get something, I can always command them to do something for me. Like that, right? So it is very difficult for people to understand this. And he says that in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, Avajananti mamura manushim tanumashritam param bhavam na jananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. So he says that people are foolish. Foolish people do not understand me. They do not recognize me, and they just think that I have come inside a human body. They do not understand that there is no difference between the body and the soul as far as Krishna is concerned. Right? He's totally spiritual over there. And so because we don't understand that, and we see the demigods as very powerful demigods, so we go and try to worship them because we see them arranging these things. And so we figure that part out, that the rains come on their own. I am not able to control the rains, but there would be somebody who can control it. So then I will figure it out that I have to go to Indra to go and get some rains. Like if I'm a farmer, I'm very much dependent on the rains there, right? So let's give me one example of a demigod that people go a lot. People pray a lot to this demigod. Can you take out your pads and write it down and tell me a demigod that people worship a lot? Very popular demigod. Take out
Shiva.
Even more powerful, even more popular than Shiva, a demigod.
Sun god.
Even more powerful. Sun god is not as popular as Shiva. I think that more people. Durga. Okay. More. Now you're going to give me all of them, right? One of them will be true. Okay. So
Indra.
Indra, no.
Ganesha Mataji.
Ganesha for 500 points. Everybody worships Ganesha. Why? Because we don't want any obstacles in our enjoyment, right? Before you pray to anybody, you pray to Ganesha. So that makes him, the most popular.
Okay,
We wrote
okay.
Ganesha,
We
Mataji.
all wrote Ganesha, Mataji.
Yes, we
Yeah.
wrote Ganesha.
Very good. It's 500 points. You want to share the 500 points? I have to give them each. You tell me that. Okay, good. Right. So did Ganesha, was Ganesha the first choice? Shiva. Okay. Anyway, so here am I sharing my screen with you? Can you see Brahma
Yeah,
Samhita?
yeah. Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Okay, good. Yadpada Pallava.
No, no.
No, you're not sharing that screen.
Mataji, this is something else. Vasanna Partha. That is a sloka. The one
Okay.
previous one we are having here.
Okay. So
Not
when I
Brahma
ask you,
Samhita.
I'm sharing my let me speak. When I'm sharing my screen, I tell you, when I ask you, are you able to see my screen? You should always see Narsingham-dev there, right? That's a point. That's a checkpoint to make sure that you are looking at the right screen. Okay. Now let's try it one more time. Okay. Tell me, and you can type it out because I muted all of you. Or Rashana, why don't you raise your hand as soon as you get see Narsingham-dev? She's not able to see it. Can you? Okay, good, very good. Yadpada Pallava Yugam Vinidhaya Kumbha Dvande Pranama Samaye Saganadhirajaha Vignan Vihantum Alamasya Jagatrayasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So the whole world actually bows down to Ganesha, right? And here, Brahma himself is saying, I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, whose lotus feet are always held by Ganesha on the pair of tumuli protruding from his elephant head in order to obtain power for his function of destroying all the obstacles on the path of progress of the three worlds. So what does that mean? That we all are actually running after Brahma, after Ganesha, pacifying him, trying to make him happy, pleasing him, bribing him. We try to do all those things so that Ganesh can remove the obstacles from our path, right? But here Brahma is saying that Ganesha, that demigod Ganesha, do you know from where does he get that power to remove obstacles from people's lives? He gets that power from Lord Krishna. And how does he get it? He holds the lotus feet of the Lord on the pair of tumuli. What do you think is tumuli of an elephant? It says, upon a pair of tumuli protruding from his elephant head. So what is tumuli of an elephant? Anybody knows elephants other than Ganesha? Anybody raising their hands? Make a guess, okay? So somebody asking, okay, tusk is a guess. Was a much popular guess, right? Ears, namasya. Okay, good, yeah, why not? Tail, legs, right? Anything, right? So tumuli, even I used to think that tumuli means the tusks that are protruding from his head, right? But no, if you look at an elephant closely, right? So if this is the tusk that is coming down, and if this is the elephant's head, somewhere in this region, you see two circles, right? So next time you observe an elephant, you observe their tooths and their skin there is slightly different. That is the tumuli, So it's almost like, how you put your toothbrush, those who use electrical toothbrush, you put it on that socket and it gets charged. So that from the connection, you get the energy. So similarly, he puts his head there on the lotus feet of the Lord and he gets energized to be able to remove the obstacles from our home. And there are innumerous instances that we see in the Shastra where Krishna has, I don't know what to say in the English language, but Hindi will explain it much better. So apologies to those who don't understand Hindi, and maybe some English and Hindi combination people can translate that. But it says Krishna many times did aisi ki taisi, of the demigods. He just crushed them, right? And a classic example is that of Indra, who was so full of pride when people stopped worshipping him that he sent the Samyanta clouds to drown all the devotees in Vrindavan. And Krishna held up the Govardhan hill. And ultimately, Indra had to come and apologize and, pacify and try to please Krishna. That's one. Right? Second one was when Brahma Vimohan Leela, you hear, right? So Brahma gets vimohit, right? So moha is that, you are bewildered by something. And when you add a V in front of anything, it becomes intensified. So vimohan is like the extreme, because if Brahma gets bewildered, what to talk about us normal human beings? Manushim tamam ashrita. If you're looking at Krishna and we think that he's a human being, we are small fries as compared to Brahma. Brahma has got 4 faces, 4 heads, 4 times at least more intelligent, if not more, right? Of course, Brahma is many, many times more intelligent than we are. So Brahma gets vimohit because he's looking at Krishna. And, he's supposed to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what is the Supreme Personality of Godhead doing? He's sitting with some cowherd boys, and the cowherd boys are putting their feet on him, on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How is that possible? Right? And then he's sitting down and he's eating food, and he's eating with his left hand. Right? Against the Shastras. Right? Because the Shastras tell you that there are certain parts of the body, like lower part of the body is inferior than the upper part of the body. Left side of the body is inferior than the right side of the body. So there's something, Shastric there that they tell. And Krishna is doing that. And not only that, then his friends are saying, eat this, Krishna. And he's eating it. And here we are, in the temple, making sure everything is clean, everything is touched. Even Krishna's prasadam should not touch the bhoga. We are being so very careful. And look at this Krishna over here. What is he doing? So he gets confused. And he says that I'm going to hide and snatch away all the cows and the calves. And his friends also. He goes there and he puts them behind in a cave, and he puts a little stone in front of it. And that's it. He thinks that, let me see what's going to happen. But then we know that what does Krishna do? Krishna manifests, expands, and creates as many cows and calves and as many cowherd boys. And Brahma had just gone there for a few minutes, but here on the planet Earth, it becomes 1 full year. And so then when Brahma sees this, then he's very, very ashamed of his behavior. He falls at his feet, and then he sings the Brahma in the prayers of Brahma that you see in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, right? The beautiful prayers that Brahma sings. Because then his pride was crushed completely by Krishna. And that's not the only time. One more time this happened to our Brahma. So he went, Krishna was having a meeting. And so he went there. So there was a doorman there. So doorman stopped him and said, okay, you can't go in. Have you been invited? He said, yeah, Krishna called me. He asked me to come here. He said, okay, what can I tell him? Who are you? What is your name? And he said, tell him Brahma has come. So the doorman goes inside and tells Krishna that Brahma is waiting for you outside. So Krishna says, ask him, which Brahma? So then that person comes back and that doorman asks Brahma, so which Brahma are you? So he said, what do you mean, which Brahma? The Brahma. I am the Brahma. So he goes inside and says, Krishna, he's saying, the Brahma has come. So Krishna says, okay, send him in. And so he's ushered into Krishna's assembly room. And there Brahma is bewildered because he sees thousands of Brahmas. And each one of the Brahmas is so many more times more opulent than him. Some have got thousands of faces, jewelry is exotic, ornaments amazing. So he gets, again, his pride gets crushed like that. So the Shastras tell us, and in so many places, right? In the first canto itself, we see, number one, when we hear about the scheduled incarnations of Krishna, So they describe all the incarnations, majority 15, 16 incarnations are described. Dhanvantari is there, Yajna is there, Vyasdeva, all of them are there, Vishnu, like that. And then after saying all that, he says, Ete chamsha kalapumsam Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Mridiyante Yuge Yuge. So he says, all those ete, all these that I talked about, ete chamsa, right? So these are just parts of you, amsha. These are just parts of you. Krishna, tu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna, you are Bhagavan. And who is Bhagavan? Bhagavan is one who has got all the 6 opulences to the highest degree, right? The opulences that you shared between yourself 6 months ago. One was the keeper of Aishwarya, one was the keeper of whatever, right? We had that fun exercise there. So Krishna Astu Bhagavan Swayam. So Krishna is being praised in the Bhagavatam there, right? And more recently, we have Kunti Maharani who is praising Krishna left, right, and center. Namaste Purisham Padyam. You are the original Purusha. Brahmaji confirms that and he says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda. And most important line, Sarva Karana Karanam. So if he is the Karana of all Karans, if he is the cause of everything, then he has no duty. He doesn't need anything because he can create anything that he likes to create, right? So that's what Krishna is telling in this verse, that in all the 3 words that I actually have got no duty to perform because I am above all these demigods, right? They are actually my servants, right? They take order from me, like that, right? And then he's saying, but yet I am engaged in my prescribed duty. That's the comparison that Krishna is making. He's saying, I don't have any duties, but yet I'm doing my duties. And what is that? What are the duties he's doing? Well, he was a grateful son. He used to take care of his parents. He was a dutiful husband. He had 16,108 wives, right? And then he had palaces built for each one of them. And women want to have children. So each one of them had 10 children. And he used to go there, be with them, be with the wife, be with the children, play with them, talk with them, love them, like that. He was doing all the duties of some place. He was doing yajna, like that. Narada goes there and sees that with his own eyes. And so he's performing all the duties of a householder. So Krishna did that, right? So here, Krishna is telling Arjuna that, hey, na yotsyami iti govinda. I will not fight. So here, my dear Arjuna, you are saying that you will not fight. And look at me. I don't even have a reason to fight. I'm here, right? I'm here and have been doing my duty everywhere. And I came here to do my duty to my cousins. And who didn't have any job at all to do, had no reason to work at all, and I'm working. So how is it, Arjuna, that you can say that I'm not going to fight, right? So in this particular verse, Krishna is, emphasizing that part. And then in the next verses, he'll explain a little bit more on, why, what will happen if he doesn't do his duties like that, okay? So we'll stop here and open the lines for any reflections that you want to share. So to be more organized, if you can raise your hands, then I can go about in a orderly way. So Viraha Bhav, she beat everybody to the, let's just go there and see. Let me see. So Viraha Bhav, Varshana Mataji, and Sadhana Mataji. So you are that order, okay? So Varshana Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you for the lovely explanation, Mataji. Mataji, Lord says that he in the last sentence you said that he has the prescribed duties too. He does his prescribed duties. But he says, I have nothing to do before that. And Mataji, when he is standing in the middle of the battlefield, he's still, helping Arjuna, guiding him. And he is a sarthi, he's a driver. So he's doing the duty now. This is his prescribed duty he's doing. So
You tell
is
me?
my question.
It is not his prescribed duty. He said just now, I don't have any prescribed duty. And the next verse coming up will reveal. Yeah. On Thursday, we will reveal why is he doing that. We will reveal. Next verses will reveal that. This is not his prescribed duties. Being a Sarathi is not a prescribed duty. Because Sarathi is a Shudra. Sarathi is a Shudra. And Krishna was born in a Kshatriya family. Right? He was in a kingly family, born in a kingly family. Devaki and Vasudeva. Right? In the dynasty of Krsna.
He was born in a kingly family. He was a Kshatriya, but at the same time, he was a Yadu also. So he was in a Vaishya family.
Yeah, but Yadu is not, but a Vaishya is not a Shudra. Right?
Not a
Vaishya is not,
Shudra, yeah.
right? So a Vaishya will do business.
Is
If he has to make money,
Yeah.
he will do some business. He'll try to sell something, cook something, sell cookies, he'll make money. Vaishya mentality. He will not go and start working for others. You see? That is not his prescribed duty at all. Does that answer your question, Vachana Mataji?
I'm still confused in the sense that I have to, but yet I have to do my duty. Like you say, looking after my parents and
Yeah, so
looking
he's
after.
saying exactly. So, right. So remember I said, he said, look at me. So he's saying, look at me. I don't have any duties and yet I am doing it. I don't have any duties and yet I am doing it. Right? Does it happen sometimes to us in our life? Does it happen? Like we can hire somebody to cook. The cook comes and cooks the food, which means the wife doesn't have a duty now, right? As a duty to cook, because in their arrangement, there's somebody who comes and cooks, right? She doesn't have a duty. But when it is her husband's birthday, she will get up and she will cook something. Was it her duty to do that? No. She could have also told the servant maid to make the, right? Make the sweet rice also. She could have did that. She did it, right? So all that, this particular verse is just talking about, just stating the facts, right? We are not going into the why and how. For that, we have to wait till Thursday. Here he's just saying, look at me, Arjuna. Because why? Arjuna is shying away from duty. So first point, he's saying that, Arjuna, you have duties and you are shying away from them. I don't have any duties, but I am doing my duty. That's my all. That's what he's saying, right? That's all. Okay. Sadhana Mataji. Yeah. Sadhana Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yeah. So I was just thinking, was there any time in the dialogue that when Arjuna asks Shri Krishna if like with Bhagwan in Krishna's position, with being the Karna and cause of all causes? It's a strange question, but is there? Then it's in Krishna's power to enable Arjuna to fight, right? It's kind of his mercy. Yet he's trying to convince him. So I just wondered when that balances, like when he's showing mercy, so the person kind of is surrendered and follows those pathways, right? Or why he needs so much convincing. It just struck my mind is like this was.
Yes, very right. And that is the two very nice things. One is that your question is very much related to this verse, to see how things are happening, and the subsequent verses again on why Krishna is doing it. And the whole thing about the Bhagavad-gita is that if Krishna was the most supreme powerful, he could have just stood there and killed everybody. What is a Kaura army, right? He could have just released Brahmas and go and kill everybody and done, right? Clean, neat operation. And so the whole thing about Bhagavad-gita and the whole approach to devotional service is that devotional service has to be joyfully performed. And so what I was saying in the beginning about, Nidra and Tandra. See, the Nidra and Tandra comes, when you are doing things because you don't want to do it. That enthusiasm is not there. Somebody has dumped that duty on me, right? I mean, a lot of us, when they are, like people get married, lady is very joyful, husband is very joyful, and talk to them 10 years later, right? His wife will be complain. All these kids, I have to take care of them. Well, you were the one who was very happy when you realized that you're going to have a kid. The husband also is like, I don't know. So, my college days were the best days in my life. Now, I go back home and my wife bites me. And I go to the office and the manager bites me. Everybody bites me. I put my foot in my shoes and my shoes bite me. So that's a situation they all say, right? So because the love has disappeared. So what Krishna wanted, so although Arjuna said, don't do it. So Krishna is older than Arjuna. So as an elder brother, he could have just commanded him. I mean, we know he's living in that era when people follow. Anuj, they follow what the elder brothers say, they follow that, right? I mean, when Bharat and Ramchandra episode happened, and Bharat was not there, right? His mother schemed and planned behind it. Then Ramchandra was exiled. And then when Bharat comes back and realizes that this is happening, he's very angry at his mom. And then he goes there to meet Ramchandra and to bring him back. And when he goes there to bring Ramchandra and bring him back, Ramchandra refuses and says, no, you go and you rule Ayodhya. And then what does Bharat do? Agrees to it. But then he asks for his Charan Paduka, for his sandals. Then says that, so he keeps those sandals on the throne and he sits, next to it, and then he governs. It governs the kingdom of Ramchandra as if he was just a caretaker. And so much was his respect for Lord Ramchandra that he's my elder brother. He's out in the exile. So there won't be any grand Tempur-Pedic mattresses and, relax on beds and things like that. For him, he'll have to be sleeping on the ground. So what Bharat used to do was he would dig the ground, dig out the earth so that there was a lower place there. And he would sleep there. Because I am his younger brother, I cannot sleep in a position which is higher than my elder brother. So that was the mood in those days, right? Which was continuing, but getting a little bit corrupt, but was still continuing and was there in the previous yuga. And so it was very easy for Krishna to have just commanded Arjuna, right? But this is not what Krishna wants. Krishna wants us to do it out of our free will. And the free will concept will start coming later on, in the later chapters of Bhagavad-gita. And that is the essence of devotional service, that you reach a level in your consciousness where you will do the thing out of your free will. And that is when the concept of duty and the concept of work will disappear. And then whatever you are doing, you will be doing it out of love. Out of love, you will do that. I mean, Yashoda, she's a queen. She has thousands of servants who can do things for and cook for Krishna, and they do, right? But yet, when it is Diwali, what does she want to do? She wants to make the best rice pudding from the best milk. And she doesn't believe that the servant maids are going to do a good job. So she will stand in front of the stove and then she will boil the milk. And then when that milk becomes 1/10, that milk is fed to the cows. So the cows drink that good milk and then they give even better milk, which she's going to boil again and make it reduced like that. So that milk becomes very, very precious. And that was the milk when it was boiling over. So Radha, that she left Krishna and ran. But we'll talk a little bit about that. And that is so she did it out of love for Krishna, right? She did it out of love for Krishna, but Krishna had a totally different mood, and we'll talk about that when I'm picking up the next verses there. But what basically Krishna is looking for is that you do anything for him out of love and when you're completely convinced. And actually, after talking for 45 minutes, all the 18 chapters of the Bhagavad-gita, Krishna in the end gives him again a choice. And he says, Krishna, now you do whatever you want to do. And then Arjuna says, Karishyami tava vacha. I will do what you have told me to do. Because by that time, he has understood that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And now he's going to do it. So then we see Arjuna fought the same war. He fought to please Krishna out of love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not love for his cousin, but love for Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's why, and that is why we are here. Otherwise, what was there? I mean, we have kids. We tell, or at least in my time, we could do a little, thing to the kids. And nowadays they'll call 911. So you tell the kids not to do it, but they do it. And then you shout, they still don't listen. Then you give them a little, and then they listen, right? So Krishna can also do that to us, right? But then where's the fun? That person never, it's almost like, you love me and I'm putting a gun on the head and saying, do you love me? Yes. What else? So he wants that to come from a free will. And because of the misuse of our free will, continuous misuse of our free will, we are here, fallen into this material world.
Okay, thank you.
So, yeah. So he leaves that. Thank you. And then after, who was it? Can you lower your hand so that I see less hands? Sorry, on the dashboard. If somebody doesn't lower the hand after asking the question, we will put them in the Tandra category, right? Half asleep, half awake. Okay, who's next? Bhava, is that you?
Yes, Mataji. Can I go next?
Yes, go. Yeah.
Actually, I was reflecting on when you spoke about how we think demigods are really powerful, like when we're non-devotees. And I was reading the 11th canto, and out there it speaks about when there's an annihilation, the Samantaka cloud, it pours down rains, torrent of rain, which is like in length of a elephant's tusk. So I was wondering that when Indra flooded Vrindavan at the time, it was really not like a usual flood that we see whenever we see around us. It was more heavy than we can imagine, because those clouds that he sent out were I used to send out when there's a universal annihilation, when everything goes back into Mahavishnu. So I was just wondering that Krishna's 7-year boy is holding up a mountain and he's saving all these Brajavasis, and still we can't, at least people can't understand that he is God. It's just, I was just reflecting on that.
Yes, good point. And yes, and so also see how, power corrupts you. So Indra is so powerful, and with power also comes duty. And he was so bewildered that he did not follow his duty, right? His duty is to send those clouds only when there is a time for the cataclysm, right? But he sends the clouds over there because why? His ego is hurt, like that. So yes, and still we don't get it. Envy of Krishna. This is envy of Krishna, not accepting that he's the Lord.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Aruni, you had a hand raised. Did you lower it? Did your question get answered, or is something wrong?
Yeah, I lowered it because my question is not about today's class. It was something else. I wanted to ask about I was reading Canto 3, and it says Brahma was born out of the mode of passion of the personality of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I just wanted to ask about that. I mean, the mode of passion, I thought, and then it says the demigods are in the mode of goodness. So, so is that the material modes of goodness versus the mode of passion coming directly from the Supreme Personality of Godhead?
Yes.
So, okay.
And his job is to rule the mode of passion. He's the control, like Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh, right? They're the three who control the modes of material nature. So Brahma controls the mode of passion. Passion means to create. Passion means to create something. That's why he creates this whole universe. He's an engineer, right? He wants to always create. Give him a piece of wood and he'll create something. Whatever. Give him a piece of iron, he'll create an engine out of it, like that. He's an engineer.
So his level of mode of passion is higher than the material mode of goodness that the demigods are at.
Yes. Because Krishna also creates, right? Vishnu also creates. With every breath, something comes out, right? So that creative potency is there in him. Yeah.
So what about the mode of goodness coming out from Krishna's breath? Who is in that?
Vishnu.
Oh.
Okay, now the last one. I think Namazia was raising her hand. Is she still with us? Yeah, she's there.
Yeah, I'm here, Mataji. Well, the question, it is not really about this theme, but you mentioned something and I was like, what? Excuse me, what do you say? The Krsna was married with 6,100 or 400 wives?
16,108 wives.
Yes, 16,000. I was like, wait a second, what did I hear right? How that happened? I mean, yes, just this is the, I guess this is the first time.
Yeah, and this is such a, yes, and this is, and I'll give you the answer to that because people use this against Krishna, that he's a womanizer, right? I mean, one wife is not enough for you. You need 16,108 wives, right? And so having 16,108 wives also shows the opulence because Krishna was able to love all of them equally. And people with just two wives are not able to maintain that balance. They always have an inclination towards one or the other, right? We have the classic story of Dhruv Maharaj's father, Uttanpad, who loved the other wife more, right? Like that. So this story actually starts from the incarnation of Lord Ramchandra when he was exiled and he was going in the forest. So there were some rishis, and they see Krishna there, and they really like him, and they get this passionate thing about him, desire that they should, have a relationship with him, with this Lord Ramchandra. So, but Lord Ramchandra says that you can't do that. Like even if you die and take another birth, right? I mean, how long does it take? You can die, and in 10 years or 14 years, you'll be 14. You can get married, right? To Ramchandra will still be around. So he says no, because in this incarnation, I'm a single wife man, because I'm just trying to, portray to people. But then in the next yuga, which is going to come, I'm going to come as a multi-wife thing. So then you come. So they all then come here. And there's a nice story. If you take the Krishna book, they were actually they come as ladies, and they were captured by some demonic personality, and then Krishna rescues them. And then they have stayed under that man's, imprisonment. These young women. So nobody was going to marry them. So then Krishna says, well, I will marry you. So Krishna didn't marry them to enjoy them. He married them out of compassion for those women. So those stories people will not tell about Krishna, but people will only look at that, And there's this question about somebody was asking Srila Prabhupada, I think when Srila Prabhupada was asking this question, that that Krishna, how come Krishna has got so many wives? How can he have so many wives? And then Prabhupada says that actually all the souls are females. So all of us are Krishna's wives.
Oh, wow. So that's beautiful.
You should not think like that. And, you should actually be grateful to Krishna that he has allowed you to have one wife. So that is Krishna's compassion mercy on you. What to talk about 16,108 wives, you are his wife. Yeah.
Thank you. I was just in shock, but it's so beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So we have gone way beyond our sleeping hour. I'll take your leave now. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Gaur Premanande Hari Bol.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Shraddha.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji.